DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today's topic is repeating yourself. And I mean this in a couple different ways, but I do mean it literally when I say daily. I say daily motivation, daily discipline. Daily discipline, repeating yourself. And the reason why repeating yourself is a discipline that you should have is a few reasons. Number one, when it comes to getting a message across to another person, whether that's yourself or someone else, you often need to repeat yourself. You need to give people the same message over and over again before they get it, and definitely before they implement and actually start acting on whatever the message happened to be. This is the reason why when you were in elementary school, how many times did you say the ABCs? You would say the ABCs like every day, right? Not elementary school, probably kindergarten. Y'all said the ABCs every day to start the day. It was like part of the daily routine. Let's just say the ABCs. Why? So that we can learn the letters of the alphabet, learn to put those letters together into words, words into sentences, and sentences become communication. But you did it over and over and over again until to the point you listen to this right now. You're 25, you're 38 years old, and you still know the tune. If somebody started playing just the tune of the ABCs song, you would know what the song was, right? Because you heard it over and over and over again to the point that you could not forget it. That's the way you get a message across to other people. Any of you who's ever had a really good coach in sports, or a coach in business, or a very strong discipline-based parent, or a boss at work, or even a teacher at school, often they have certain things, like certain pet phrases that they said all the time, right? They would just say them over and over and over again to the point that maybe you kind of got sick of hearing them say it. But even to this point, that person might not even be in your life right now, but you still remember them saying that thing because they said it so many times, right? That's what repeating yourself does. It ingrains something in people's minds. This is also known as, there's a process behind this. It's called spaced repetition. All spaced repetition means is doing the same thing over and over again, but sometimes putting space in between the repetitions. So instead of, like in kindergarten, you didn't say the ABCs 1,000 times straight all in one day. You didn't just sit there and say the ABCs all day 1,000 times in a row. You did it 1,000 times over the course of 3 years or whatever. Every day you did it one time every day, and it became 1,000 repetitions, but it was spaced in between each rendition of you doing it. That is what spaced repetition is, and what it does is that ingrains things in the brain. There's a science behind that, and I'm not going to explain here in this video, but there's a science behind spaced repetition, and when you put space in between the repetitiveness, the repetitions of doing something, it ingrains it in the brain and makes it even stronger, and it increases the likelihood that someone will retain it, and then hopefully they will implement it. They'll actually do something with the things that they have retained. Another reason why you need to repeat things. How many of you has ever been in a situation dealing with another human being where you told them something that they needed to know, something that they needed to hear, and something that if they would have listened to it and did what you said, they probably would have gotten a better outcome than whatever their current situation was. So basically you were giving them some advice that they should probably listen to, whether they asked for it or not. And they didn't do it. The situation got worse, and finally at some point they finally heeded your advice, did what you told them, and they got the better outcome that you always knew from the beginning that they would have got if they had just listened to you. How many of you ever had that happen? Everybody's had that happen. Now let's flip the script, where you got to be a little bit more honest. How many of you have ever had that happen to you, where somebody told you something that if you would have listened and did what they said, you would have got a better situation, but you didn't listen, you didn't do what they said, and then the situation gets worse. Finally, at some point, you hear that same thing again that you had ignored before. You finally listened, you finally did what you were told, and then you got the better result. Of course you have. You have had it happen to you, hopefully not as much as you've had it with, you've kind of tried to help somebody else, but all of us have had that happen. And why has this happened? Because human beings are hard-headed. Maybe I heard that phrase, hard-headed. Parents used to say that back in the day. But hard-headed means, I don't mean in a literal sense. Hard-headed with humans is just that we got to hear the same thing more than once before we do anything with it. It's just as a general rule, most people do not implement good advice the first time they hear it. Most people do not implement good advice the first time they hear it. we hear it, and somebody can listen to what you say and say, man, that's good stuff. That's great what you just said there. That's really useful. Or people be like, yeah, that's fire what you said. But then they don't do anything with it. They tell you how great what you said was and then do absolutely nothing. Keep doing the same stuff they were doing before you started speaking. How many of you ever had that happen? Any of you who's a speaker or coach or you create content, I guarantee you had this happen. I had this happen every day. Somebody tells me how something I said was so great, and then I ask them how they're implementing. Somehow I ask them how they're implementing what they heard me say, and they're not doing anything with it. Like they heard it, they liked it, but they're not doing anything. So this is what happens with humans. Why? Because we are hard-headed individuals. We hear stuff, we can even value the stuff, but we don't do anything with the stuff. This is why you must repeat your messages to people in order to get the message through to someone. This is also why in the sales world, we give the same message over and over again. All right, and there are people whose email lists that I'm on, like people who are in the marketing world, and they market their coaching programs and all kinds of stuff that they have going on, and they send emails about the same offer or the same service or the same product or the same event or whatever it is. Events are a little bit different because events come and go, but let's say a product does not go away. I'll get the same emails or emails talking about the exact same thing from the same person like 50 times. Why? And there's a reason for that. I don't get annoyed when they do it. Actually, I'm looking at it and thinking like, man, maybe I'm not talking about my product often enough, because people usually don't move on something the first time they hear it. How many of you have ever bought something, but you heard about it before you actually bought it? You heard about it a bunch of times before you actually did something. How many of you ever heard of something and you're like, damn, I want to do that. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to sign up for that. I'm going to attend that. But you did not do it the first time you heard about it. You didn't do anything the first time you heard about it. Maybe it was in your mind, you thought about it, maybe it intrigued you, but you didn't actually take action. But then the 17th time you heard about it, then you signed up, then you bought the product, then you went and got the book, then you registered for the course, whatever the situation was. Of course, we've all had this happen. Why? Because, shit, I must miss my turn. We are hard-headed individuals. We got to hear things more than once. This is why you got to be repeating yourself. And I'll give you one more example of this. Any of you who's in the thought leadership space, especially if you're like an influencer or something like that, and you have you personally is the attractive character, as we call it, in what you do, meaning people are buying into your stuff because they personally are buying into you as an individual. You got to tell your story. You got to tell it over and over and over again. Even when you get tired of telling it, you get tired of telling the same story or stories. Tell those stories over and over again, because first of all, not everybody heard your story the last 3 times you told it, and secondly, even the people who have heard your story before, they want to hear it again, because that story is one of the main reasons why they are in your world in the first place. It's one of the reasons why they connect with you, because they connect with your story and your background, what you're about, etc. So repeat, repetition, over and over again. Same things, same way every time. Keep repeating yourself, and then when you get tired of repeating yourself, repeat yourself again. All right, so take that with you. All that said, make sure you text me so you're in my text community. I send out a daily motivation text every day, a weekly motivation text every Monday. All you got to do is text me at the number 305-384-6894. It is down below in the description to this video, and you'll be in my text community. It's free to join the community. We'll tell you all your options as soon as you get in. Just text me again at that number, and workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's the place where I do all my coaching. Any of you who would like to work with me directly, have me as your coach, there's only one way to do that, one place to do it. That is workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description to this video. Work on your game. Dre all day.